It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
From the heart of Appalachia, located under a shopping mall near the city that moves mountains, you're listening to Here to Chew Bubblegum.
Nine, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Greetings. I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass, and I'm all out of bubblegum.
What's up, flockers?
Good
Queen.
morning, y'all.
There you go. Good morning. He jumped ahead of me, but that's fine. He is the OGP. I'm talking about original flock member Paul. Welcome to Here to Chew Bubblegum, Paul. Long overdue.
Thank you so much for having me. It's great to be here. Love you guys.
What do you guys think about? Have you guys got a chance to check out the YouTube Twitch with the thumbnails and all that stuff? No, okay.
YouTube Twitch.
Oh yeah. On the Here to Chew Bubblegum YouTube page, I have been grabbing for the past. This will actually be the third show that will be, that we drop on Tuesdays, 8 a.m.
Is this the one you captioned the audio visualizer?
No, that is the one that drops on Thursdays.
Okay.
I have been showing the Twitch. Of course, you can see it on the Queen's page on Twitch for what, like 8 days or something like that.
I think it's either 7 or 13. I can't remember.
Okay, but you can go on the Here to Chew Bubblegum YouTube page and you can watch it whenever you want to. So
all the time.
That is something that we used to do before, and then we have problems, getting the show sent. But I have an app now where I can just go in Twitch and just grab it, download it, and then, do what I need to do and then upload it on YouTube. So I'm sure you guys, it was fascinating, because you guys seem really interested.
I'm here for it. It was a pain in the ass to try and send that shit to you.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, and that was what was so funny about it. Sometimes I would get it. Sometimes I wouldn't. Sometimes it would download, and then I would try to open it, and then there would be like a play button with it crossed out. And I was thinking, like, I just spent an hour downloading this.
Yeah.
My internet really sucks back here. I mean, it really does, because sometimes if I'm making a 3-minute TikTok video and I'm home, I have to go outside. And Rebecca and Dirtydan can verify this. You don't want to FaceTime me when I'm home, because you don't see anything. It's all splotchy. But to upload like a 3-minute TikTok video, it takes like probably 45 minutes. So
Jesus Christ.
Oh yeah. My internet sucks, and I have to stand in one spot.
I don't understand how they can get pictures of fucking outer space and into the next goddamn dimension, but
Allegedly.
we can't get fucking internet in the middle of Kentucky.
They don't want us to have it.
Preach. They could stream from the moon in 1969, but apparently we can't stream across the country. Yeah, allegedly.
But Paul, we're honored to have you on today. I want everyone to be sure to check out Paul on TikTok if you don't follow him. It's Paul Hat 1921. Before we go, we're going to make some announcements. We talked about some of these backstage, talked about some of these just a little bit earlier. The shows for the rest of the year are planned out. Next week, we will have special guest Daniel Emery Taylor. He is an actor from Alabama. He's been in such hits as Return of the Swamp Thing, the comedy movie Road Trip that had Tom Green and other guys. He's also a producer, writer, and director of his own films. He's also been in like TV shows like In the Heat of the Night. I know that's old school, so some of you may not know that, but he was in that as well. He will be on next Sunday with us. And then the next day, on the 19th, we're going to have an evening recording, which you can watch on Twitch. It will be myself, Dirtydan, and Joe will be back on.
It's like Fed Up Part 2.
Yes, because I feel bad because I had to like kind of rush off last week, and I felt like, you know.
And I still had hemorrhoids.
Oh yeah, well, hopefully they're cleared up by then. But that show will be on Twitch on the 19th. The podcast audio of that will drop on Christmas Day. Now, here is where I need your guys' help. January 1st, the first show of 2023, will be like some pre-recorded stuff, some behind the scenes, just different stuff because we're taking that day off. But I am calling out Paul, Chaotic, Joe, Mike, Shipmess, Purple Princess, and Bowling. I will be messaging you guys some emails that I would like for you to, you can either, this is totally up to you. You can record it on your phone and the email will not be that long. You can record it on your phone, or I can set up a Zoom date and time and record you reading the email that I send you. And those emails will be read by you guys, friends of the show, Roswellers, Flock members on January 1st, 2023.
I like that.
Thank you.
I'm down. Sounds good.
Again, Paul, Chaotic, Joe, Mike, Shipmass, Purple Princess, and Bowling.
There you go. Call out accepted.
Good. Good. Thank you very much. But that is something that we will be doing. That is the show schedule for the rest of the year. And I want everyone to know this right now. And it's not definite, okay? But I want everyone to know so they will not get upset. Tonight at 7:30, I have to come back to the studio, and I have a guy coming in. And I'm going to record some stuff that we're going to be playing on the show in January sometime. So after he leaves, I've got a little extra time. I may go live on TikTok.
I swear to God, Goose, if you don't drop that shit in my live Telegram, people are going to be pissed.
Okay, I will, and I'm making a note right now. I will drop it in the live Telegram if I do go live. So,
I'll be there.
All right, thank you very much. But I mean, we'll talk about whatever we want to talk about. Been getting some more heat on some of the stuff I've been posting, but I'd get more people that that really seem to appreciate it. And I've been in contact with a guy from somewhere in the United States, and I'm blessed that he chose me. There's something big that could go down that I may get to help expose. So, and
teaser.
Well, and I will go ahead and share this with you guys. If it turns out that he's in the process of getting me some contact information to talk with someone. And if this turns out, I may actually make a trip to this town, and I'll either get I'll either do a First Amendment audit, or I will get put in jail, or I will do both, because this is just kind of thinking about it right now is starting to irritate me and just make me mad. So I'm gonna quit thinking about it for the moment. But
that
Paul,
was the most Vegas thing ever.
Well, I can't say a lot about it because there is a government agency that I don't have much respect for. It has 3 initials, and they start with F. So I'm not,
FDA.
Yes, exactly.
The FTC?
Listen, if you see Tony, will you tell him for me?
Oh, yes, definitely. But, this, yeah. Thank you very much.
Shit, mass.
Yeah. But, this is something that, and he actually messaged me the first time on Friday, and we've been messaging back and forth. And this is totally uncalled for, and it is wrong on every level. And I'm just going to be blunt. Bullshit like this needs to stop. And if I will help anyone if they need help or advice, or just by me playing their videos, send those videos to me. And, you know, but this one particular
Goose,
thing.
while I'm here and have your ear, I just want to commend you on the stuff you've been putting out. Like, your perspective, I think, is really important. And
thank you.
Seeing that is awesome. So
thank you very much. There was a guy commented last night that had been he followed me and I followed him back, like from, you know, like a month ago, back when I tried to follow everyone back, but I realized I cannot do that. And I cannot reply to every comment or message, you know, even though I would really love to. I can't sit in front of it all day to do it. But there was a guy that was like, on a video I posted yesterday, you know, you had a lady that had one arm handcuffed. You can hear the handcuff click in the video to lock the other one in. Now, he slams her on the ground. Now, the TikTok version is edited. I put a black box over it to block out her getting slammed to the ground. I don't like doing that, but I had rather bring the videos and help people understand what the traits of bad officers are if they have the unfortunate experience of dealing with them than being shut down. So I've been like black boxing stuff, and this is, you know, been doing disclaimers and all that, but the handcuff comes off. Okay. Or he didn't have it on or whatever. When you have one hand handcuffed, you're handcuffed. I don't care, you know, if you have both of them handcuffed, but, you know, this lady was pinned up against a vehicle. He had control of her. And I even said he had control of her. So one of the early guys, he's like, man, I'm losing respect. You're starting to bash cops. So I just went on and just commented, you know, hey, thank you for your comment. I thank everyone for their comments, because love them or hate them, when they comment on it, that pushes my shit up and gets more people to see it. That gets more views. So you make good comments, that's great. Bad comments, hey, I will support your right to make those comments. But so I went back and replied, and then the guy's comments gone this morning. I don't know if you know, he removed it and blocked himself or blocked me or whatever. But you know, I really don't care. So, but thank you, Paul. Thank you very much. Yes, Dirtydan, you have a question.
So I haven't really been on TikTok lately at all, so I don't know the video you're referencing. But for anyone else that may have not known or seen the video, are you saying that he only had one of her two arms handcuffed, or this lady only had one arm and he still handcuffed her?
Okay. She has two arms.
Okay.
She has two arms. He gets her, and keep in mind, she's a passenger in a vehicle, and this is in South Carolina. This happened last August. And he gets her out, tells her he has a warrant on her. You know, he does not tell her what the warrant's for. You can tell by the lady's speech that she's possibly over-medicated, you know, the slurred speech, kind of. But he has her pinned up against the vehicle. Her boyfriend standing at the back of the vehicle. He cuffs one arm, and he has the other arm. She's not really resisting. When you have somebody and you've got one arm cuffed and they're up against a vehicle, you have control of that person. She's getting mouthy. And he tells her, if you don't quit, I am going to hurt you. And then he even says, I'm going to take you to the ground and hurt you. Well, she doesn't quit. And he causes severe injury. I didn't say in the video, but, you know, she had a broke jaw, broke nose, and lost a couple teeth. And she had a concussion from being slammed on the ground. There was also some audio that I cut out of her pain sounds on the TikTok version. There's a YouTube version as well that I didn't do anything to. But so then he grabs her right arm and cuffs. So people are saying that I titled it wrong or that I'm bashing cops because he didn't have her cuffed. One arm was cuffed. If you have one arm cuffed,
I'm sorry,
you're handcuffed. I don't give a shit.
Arms.
One of her two. It's just amusing if you think of it only being one arm.
Well,
it really is.
You know, I've actually had that situation before. And then you
So why would you only handcuff one arm, though?
Okay.
And what do you do if they only have one arm? Do you finger cuff her?
I was just going to ask, what if they only have one arm? What do you do there? Do you like
if they If they only have one arm, then you put the other cuff behind their back to their belt loop or their belt or something. Now,
you're assuming that they have belt loops.
That's what I said.
Bold of you to assume. Bold of you to assume they have pants on. Come on.
If they don't have pants, then you shove the other one up their ass.
Because I'm here to fight or fucking either way. I'm getting naked. All right.
So okay, but you know, I mean, and like I said, you can hear, and it's out of camera, so you can't hear because you can hear the other cuff lock. I know what a cuff sounds like locking. Now, it might not have been locked, you know, in place tightly, or you know, where she couldn't get out of it. But then he slams her, and when he slams her, then her right arm is free. And people were saying, no, she wasn't cuffed. Yes, bullshit, she was. So, you know, and I did not mean to get off on a tirade and rant like that. So, and I want to apologize. And shit, mess, this is all your fault because you're the one that encouraged me and told me to do this. So, you know, now I've got to find something every day to talk about and research and put on TikTok. Thank you very much, shit, mess. But
I got treated like that one time, but it was definitely my fault. Like, I'm sure you realize when people get their hands in front of them after you get put in the back of the car, they don't like that. So, word to the wise.
I love you too, shit mess. Thank you. You know, it amazes me how many officers you've got that are beating the shit out of people that are handcuffed. Because when I went through the academy, and this was years ago, 1997, they drilled in us. You do not hit anyone or lay hands on anyone handcuffed, period. If you want to fight with them, you take their cuffs off, you know. And when you would do that, 99.9% of the time, they'd be like, I'm sorry, you know, please don't hit me, you know, I'm drunk, you know. But you do not do that. Thank you very much, Kimmy. I was in 3rd grade. Well, I wasn't. I was 22 at that time. So, but, you know, I mean, that's just... And it amazes me. And I'm going to say this, and Paul, the floor is yours. And I want your guys' comments watching on Twitch right now. Because I actually did like a first video where I replied to a comment a few days ago. If you're not doing anything wrong and you do not live in a stop and identify state, why the hell would you give them your ID? No, it is not an incoming subject change.
Yeah, when Paul starts talking, we're gonna go from cops to fucking ancient history here.
No, I mean, Paul, I want your opinion. Rebecca, Dirtydan, I want your opinion. Everyone watching, I want your opinion. But if you're not doing anything wrong, you do not live in a stop and identify state. Why would you tell them your name? Why would you give them an ID if you've not done anything? Number one, they have no right to it, because I have had people be like, well, I don't want to give you my name. I'm like, cool. I'm going to put in my report, unknown white male stated so-and-so, unknown female stated so-and-so. You know, they were driving a 1998, you know, whatever was tag number. I'm covered. If I need to come back with you later, I'm covered. I'm not going to waste my time getting in an argument with somebody to see who can piss farther. And like, that's just bullshit. Why would you give your name and ID? Because we have veterans that have fought for this country that gives us the right. We don't have to. And I said this in the video. People in the 30s and 40s in Germany gave IDs, and it did not work out too good for them. Or they gave their names. Dirtydan.
You don't know this, okay? Because speaking from experience, you get a cop in front of you, you're going to do what the fuck they tell you, because we've been programmed with this, like, don't fucking question any type of authority, which is how all of these officers have gotten on this fucking power trip and this and this power struggle, right? To try and dominate all of these citizens. But you don't know, like, I didn't know until maybe a couple years ago that I didn't have to identify myself.
Yeah.
Like, it's not common knowledge.
I don't even know if my state is a stop and identify state. Like, these are terms I'm just hearing. And to your point, Rebecca, it's like we've just been brought up through this whole system of indoctrination and do what police say. And when people take advantage of their power and you don't know your rights, it's most people will just do what they're asked because it's a person of authority in a position that probably makes you nervous or whatnot. So I don't know.
And then I've seen these TikToks where these people do know their rights and they're schooling the fucking officers, and the officers don't know jack shit, and then they get fucking defensive, and then it just turns into a fucking battle, and then you got to wait for the fucking captain or the sergeant or whoever to come over. They still don't know what the fuck they're doing, and they're obviously always going to side with the officer. Like, that shit irritates me.
Oh yeah, and it's same here. Can you scroll back up, because Justin Perkins commented no. Okay, you answered that really quick. Dirtydan, well, let's see, can you read Justin's comment there, Rebecca?
As having friends in law enforcement, I just never question cops, even when I possibly should have. Yeah, exactly.
And that's in Kentucky, if you're driving a motor vehicle and you get stopped by the police, you do by law have to provide your driver's license, your registration, your proof of insurance. If there's any passengers in the car, an officer can ask for their license. They do not have to give it to them. They are not required to give it to them. He cannot give them an order to give it to them, but they can ask. And, I've never really talked about this on the show. About 2 years ago, I had an interaction with a First Amendment auditor, and I go up. I'm like, hey, how you doing? He's like, good. He's like, I'm doing the First Amendment audit. I'm like, hey, great, carry on. He's like, do you want to know who I am? I'm like, no, because you're not doing anything. You know what the guy did? Like 2 minutes later, he packed his shit up and he left. He didn't get what he wanted out of you. You didn't confront him. But I support people's right to do First Amendment audits if you do them for the right reason. Now, there's some I saw that just are, no. You don't. You go to some places and do that, and you're going to get locked up for doing some of that stuff and stepping over the bounds and so forth. But I did not mean to get sidetracked and go on that, but that irritates me to watch people just freely that have not done anything, just whatever. That needs to stop. Period. That needs to stop. So Paul, we're going to talk about what, ancient aliens?
Not so much aliens. I was talking to Rebecca, and I just brought up this topic because it's been fascinating to me. Looking at alternative theories of the human origin story, like advanced civilizations existing before the mainstream narrative tells us, like the way things sit, like ancient Egypt, Sumeria, about 6,000, 7,000 years ago is the generally understood timeline of quote unquote advanced civilizations, more than just hunter-gatherers. But anyway, so that's kind of what I was looking into, and what brought me into this was I live in Washington State, and there's an area called the Scablands in eastern Washington, and it's essentially physical proof of a large, massive, water land movement at the end of the last ice age. And this is essentially like they call it the Younger Dryas impact theory. So about 12,800 years ago to 11,600 years ago, the theory is there was some cataclysmic, civilization ending catastrophe that rapidly melted the ice age, rose sea level, and essentially obliterated civilization, and I'm rambling, so please feel free to pop in at any time.
Oh, no, you're totally fine. So you're talking about, what's your thoughts on Atlantis?
So that kind of ties into it, I think it existed. I don't know where. Nobody's found anything specifically that can, guarantee, but there's been, findings around the globe that kind of relate back to, the previous literature about Atlantis and an advanced civilization prior to current history. Go ahead, Rebecca.
I was going to say, I have this theory on Atlantis. I can't remember. Was it Ancient Aliens that I watched on, or was it some other fucking show? I can't remember.
I think it was.
But it was like this combination. What?
Said it should have been Ancient Aliens because you told me about it on the front porch.
Oh, it was like this like combination theory about Atlantis, and because of all of these different civilizations all over the world in different cultures in different time periods without the ability to fucking communicate with each other, all having the same story of what these people from Atlantis looked like, and that Atlantis was a spaceship, and that it didn't actually sink, it just left. Like, because it was extraterrestrial beings, because they, like it was from another dimension and they weren't here.
So, agree, like basically everywhere around the globe, there's similar stories of, you know, myths or religious texts or findings of a massive flood. There's different, you know, interpretations of gods or giants or people that came and helped rebuild society. And my opinion is those are just the descendants or the people who survived and, you know, go around the globe trying to share information and whatnot. And that's why you find so many similarities no matter where you are. South America, Middle East, it's everywhere. And there's so many crossover, like there's pyramids everywhere, you know, like.
Well, you've also been to a lot of places too, so you've almost had like firsthand experience of seeing these similarities.
I haven't got to see a lot of the sites, but yeah, no, I've been all over, and it's I don't know, it's just there's a lot of physical history left scattered around the globe that points to things that can't be explained, and the common explanation that most people give just is like completely against common sense. So I just have found it really fascinating to look into. But
it's Scablands sunflower.
Scablands, yep. Let's see. Some of the things that exist. One of my favorite to talk about. Have you heard of Göbekli Tepe?
No.
Okay, so Göbekli Tepe is in Turkey, and it is officially dated to 9600 BC. So that's like basically around that 11,600 years ago, which would coincide with the end of the last ice age. But it's a giant structure that has it's a megalithic structure. It's something that is confirmed dated back to that time frame, and there's, you know, just like pyramids and whatnot, massive stone pillars and things that have no explanation how they could have got there. There's no evidence of farming. There's no evidence of, you know, a group of people around. So it's like, how did this get here? Where did it come from? And that seems to be like a general theme around the globe on places like this. But yeah, it. I completely lost my train of thought.
Oh, you're okay. What's your thoughts on what Rebecca said about Atlantis being a spaceship? And then that I had never heard that before, but that makes so much sense as to why we have not, and you know, not that I know of, or if we have, they're keeping it hid. Saw any?
That's totally. Here's the deal. None of this is provable outright. So any theory, I love thinking about what could be or possibilities, you know, and I like to look to things where there is some physical evidence or whatnot, but the fact is we don't know. So any theory is possible, and that makes a lot of sense why there's no trace of it or why people can't find anything relative to it. But the other theory, as far as why nothing can be found, is that this Younger Dryas period was so cataclysmic that there's nothing remaining other than the stone. Like, part of the theory is it's not just one like comet hit. It was a multitude of, you know, different impacts, and people, essentially that's what caused the rapid melting of the ice caps and whatnot. People say, where are the craters? And if it hits ice, the crater is going to melt away. And then it was also explained that like fragments coming into the atmosphere and exploding can create like nuclear level. Yeah, there you go. That's yeah. Anyway, there doesn't have to be an impact. An asteroid exploding in the atmosphere could create like nuclear level destruction below it. So if this was going on for 1,000 years, you know, what would be left afterwards? So I'd say.
Cockroaches and Twinkies.
Yes, cockroaches and Twinkies.
What do you think about the pyramids? Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. What's your thoughts on the pyramids? How do you think that they got here? Do you think that, I mean, just share your thoughts with us, please.
So with the pyramids and Egypt, that's a rabbit hole, because the Sphinx, first of all, like the Sphinx has erosion marks around it that signify it's significantly older than the pyramids, you know, like by multitude. Like it would tie into this timeline of what I'm talking about. And also in Egypt, there are massive structures like that have been found that predate the pyramids and predate, you know, the current understanding of the human timeline. But for the most part, the Egypt, you know, Archaeological Society won't let those places be explored. And from what I've gathered, like it's completely different architecture. There's not hieroglyphs all over the structures. So it's almost like the ancient Egyptians came across this stuff that was already existing and then built more on top of it. But as far as how the pyramids were built, I think it has something to do with frequency and moving large blocks that way and whatnot. That's a personal opinion. I have no proof, but that's what I take away from it.
Scrolling TikTok, and there was this dude that was using the sound levitation with a didgeridoo and moving objects at the end of the didgeridoo. So like it's completely possible, because that ties into the whole Nikola Tesla thing with frequency, energy, and vibration. So yeah, by sound, 100%, I agree. Same with the mud floods, like, you know, with the sematics, not semantics. Sematics is where they play the sounds and it creates these images, like the sand goes into these images when they play the sound, which is where the chakras and everything come from, right? And it's super interesting. So if they're able to do that with sound and zap things with certain frequencies and move stuff, I mean, that the mud floods, and I mean, if you look at, you mix like cornstarch and water, right? And like quicksand, like you can move across it very quickly and it'll be solid. But the moment you move slow, you sink into it. Or if you add air or vibration to it, it changes the consistency of it.
You mentioned the mud floods. There's a lot of cities around this country that have underground, like I live in Seattle. We have a Seattle underground, you know, and to me, kind of seems like that ties in a lot of places. Like there was a civilization here prior to a whole bunch of land being moved and settling and rebuilding.
So you're telling
or
me in
whatnot.
1920 they dug into the ground and then they put a window halfway up, right? Yeah, no, I'm not buying it.
So that opens up into, I got a strong feeling about the World's Fairs too. I think all the World's Fairs in the late 1800s and early 1900s were essentially cover-ups to hide civilization that was there prior. Like they put on this big, you know, spectacle, and some of the structures for this spectacle were pre-existing, and then the fair ends and they tear down what they need to hide or what they don't want to. And
it's
I don't know,
like
that's another rabbit hole.
It's almost like they pulled the sheets off of stuff to like reveal, but it was already there. It's not anything that they came up with.
Like if you look into it, the size of some of these fairs and whatnot, and the time that they say it took them to build it, like they did this in 2 months. It's like, that's a 15-year project now with permitting and whatnot. Like there's no way.
Well, and we have talked, I mean, it has been, help, Cronkite might have been on the show when we mentioned World Fairs. We've talked about them before. What amazes me is if you go back and look, especially the time period that you mentioned, you had technology at these World Fairs we don't have today. You had now I do know that, you know, if you go to an airport, you know, you can get on the moving thing. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about a moving sidewalk, you know, that they had those, featuring those at World's Fairs. You had technology. There were some others that are slipping my mind right now. It's been so long, but they were showcasing technology back then that we don't have today. And what happened to this technology? I mean, you know, you're showcasing it at a World's Fair, and then over 100 years later, we don't have it.
Yeah. Where did it go?
Yeah.
Into the basement of the Smithsonian or the Vatican. That's where it went.
It went the same place where the technology to go to the moon went.
Yeah, they lost it.
They lost it. They recorded over it. Damn it! Somebody left a tape laying around. The VCR got
bastards.
What do you think, Paul? What do you think the possibility would be of someone, let's say, in the next 5 years in the United States, in a city of any size, stumbling across something and it being significant of a representation of the past, or something that's from the past that we have not discovered, we didn't know about? And I'll give you an example of what I mean. When they were doing the cleanup work at the Twin Towers, they discovered I think 1 or 2 ships from the 1600s that were at the bottom, that were underneath. The Twin Towers were built on top of these ships, and they wasn't a complete ship. I'm talking about the bow and basic flooring and so forth. They had no idea that they were there. And the Twin Towers were built on top of these, and they had no clue. And I can't remember from the article, it's been years ago, where they traced these back to, but there's no record of these ships and these people even being in New York during that time frame.
I think, well, I hadn't heard that. That's pretty fascinating. But I think in general, what I would have picked up going through this is that the general scientific community or academic community is so there's pride and whatnot behind where the narrative stands. So when new information or when new things are discovered, it almost has to be earth shattering for them to even consider it as a new part of the narrative, because having to rewrite parts of known history or what we think of humanity or whatnot, there's hesitation to it. And, so it would have to be a pretty massive discovery, I think, for it to really hit people's radar or be on the screen.
That's a good response to that. Dirtydan, did you have a question? Did you have something to add to that?
No, I'm just thoroughly enjoying listening.
Oh, okay. I thought you raised your hand. I was doing 2 or 3 things back here one time.
I guess just to sum up, for anybody interested in this kind of thing, where this came from, the physical evidence has gone through on a docuseries on Netflix. It's called Ancient Apocalypse, done by a guy named Grant Hancock. He's been on Joe Rogan a few times. But it's good. It's where he goes through the physical evidence remaining on the planet, pointing to, civilization that was advanced prior to what we know. And by advanced, we're not talking cell phones and computers. It's a different kind of advance, because general humanity's understood to be just like hunter-gatherer tribe people back in that age. But essentially these physical structures point to the fact that there was clearly something more advanced, or someone or a civilization or something that was here at that same time. So the general accepted hunter-gatherer theory is kind of nonsense. And
well, if you go back and you look at Native American, some of the Native American stuff, they have several explanations of stuff that they can't explain in the sky, and descriptions of what to me look like maybe unidentified flying objects, even strange people that they're describing, tall, big head, so and so. That's and I told Rebecca last week I do have that show saved in my Netflix queue that you talked about. I was hoping to watch some of it, but I did not get a chance to this week. So
I would recommend it. It's good. It's worth the watch. But yeah, North American tribes are some of the best for myths and stories, but when you hear about them, they're very similar to other stories around the world, whether it be religious, like I said earlier, religious myths, or other cultures have. It's always some being, whether it be a giant or a god or something from the sea, came and like essentially teaches them the ways of, I don't know, survival or whatnot. And it's very strange. So I think there definitely is, something there.
Right.
I wanna address James's comment here. He said, "What fascinates me is an old prediction from Native American describes the end of times with spider webs in the sky. Chemtrails look a lot like that."
Oh,
I had never thought about that.
I
I'd
hadn't
never
put that together either.
That's a very good catch.
A lot of these, maybe this ties in too, but a lot of these ancient sites have serpent representation, whether it's carved in, like there's a serpent snake theme. And if all these people, if something so massive happened on the planet, they could be looking at comets coming down as the serpents from the sky. That was one thing I heard that was I hadn't heard that before, but I don't know why there's serpents everywhere, but that would be one explanation.
Okay. Do you have any of the serpent mounds in your state? And
no, but Serpent Mound in Ohio is one that he goes through on this series.
I was getting ready to ask that, and mention the one in Ohio where you talked about serpents. From what I've read in the past, there's several of those all over the globe.
There's in North America. There's I wrote a number down. It's like 200 mounds or something. It's ridiculous. It's crazy.
Wow.
Like what were they doing? The Serpent Mound is the most like profound because it's clearly shaped like a serpent, but the mouth and where it opens points directly at where the sun sets, either on the winter or the summer solstice. I can't remember which one, but it's off by 2 degrees. But if you revert, you know how you can reverse the stars and go back and figure out where things were in time. Essentially, at that 11,600 years ago, which coincides with the end of the Ice Age, it would have been pointing directly at the sun. And there's so many of these structures all over that either point or have reference to the sun on solstices and equinoxes. And Sirius actually comes into play on a lot of these where they have their structures pointed at Sirius, which is, the brightest star we can see in the sky, the next closest star or whatever. But they definitely were looking up and things in the sky meant something back then.
Can I address the serpent?
Yes, please go ahead.
So historically, and I pulled this up, is serpents and snakes represent fertility or the creative life force. As a snake sheds their skin, the symbol of rebirth, transformation, immortality, and healing. Now, it also has it's been hijacked, right? And if you look at the religious aspect of it, especially with Christian, it's evil, it's disgusting, it's consuming and everything. But the serpent, the continual, where it's eating its tail, right? That's the continual life source. So I believe with everything that everything has duality to it, right? And whatever intention you're using it for, and everything has been hijacked and manipulated and turned against us, and then the truth has been hidden so that we actually believe one thing when really it's this thing, and we're using it incorrectly, just like the peace sign, which is really a protection rune upside down, but that's another story for another day. But so the serpent being the symbol for that, it's not just that's life force, that's transformation, that's immortality, that's the
that makes sense
circle of life. It's so much then representing the devil and Satan and evil.
I would agree.
Yes, rebirth.
So another cool thing about the Serpent Mound, there's 7 bends in the body of the snake, and each bend points to there's four solar points, the 2 equinoxes and the 2 solstices, and each one matches up with where the sun would be at those points. So it's clearly, a piece that was created with a purpose for something, and you can't just say it. I don't know.
No, I have never, and if anyone, we have a lot of people commenting on the Serpent Mound in Ohio. Oh, that last thing. Yeah, it could have been portal related. If you have been to the Serpent Mound or you live in Ohio, is there anything of significance nearby? And where Paul said 7, within a 7-mile range, is there anything significant, whether it be an unexplained anomaly or just anything? That's something I've never looked up. I'm going to make a note right now and try to read up on that.
I found what I wrote down. There was, so Serpent Mound itself is south a couple miles of like another mound area. I didn't write the name down, but it was, so this was a number. It was estimated that more than 1 million mounds in the North American continent were discovered, and only about 100,000 of them remain. They were either, you know, leveled or built over or whatnot. So,
well, that see, I mean, you know, for me, that just opens up a whole different rabbit hole. You know, why would there be so many? Because, you know, there was a lot of these Indian tribes that they didn't know that another tribe existed. You know, they thought that they were the only ones. But so you've got several different tribes, 1 million mounds. That's I'm going to do some diving into that. I've made a note back here.
There's just overwhelming evidence across the globe of shared information when during a time period where we weren't supposed to be able to talk long distances or interact with other civilizations or that kind of thing. So it just requires an explanation. And
that goes back to what someone said, you know, a possible portal. And if you know, believe it or not, and I'm going to be honest, and some people may laugh and giggle. My research on the possible portal that Saddam Hussein had control of in the 90s, and then we had control of it, I think I'm leaning towards more that's real. That actually existed. And just based on why I say that is because, you know, you have the 2012 thing where some people think, you know, hey, it did him. We just, you know, it wasn't in the way that you thought. That goes back to the Aztec culture, who were brilliant on the star mapping and stuff. And their, you know, calendar ended on December 21st, 2012. But look at the Middle East. Look at what things that they have over there that, you know, what's your thoughts, Paul? Do you think that there could have been like a possible portal, Stargate, well, is what some people's called it?
Yeah, I do. I absolutely do. And I think that maybe our world did end in 2012 and we shifted dimensions because they don't want to go down the CERN rabbit hole right now, but that's coincides with that. And I think that could very well be a Stargate or a portal itself. So who knows?
All of it.
All of the above. Dirtydan, what about you? What's your thoughts on the Stargate portal thing that we, I mean, and that's, you know, that is supposed the reason that we actually went to war, that Bush Sr. went to war with him is because he found out that he had that. And, you know, he had got it from conquering some other, not tribe, but,
people.
Yeah. Region.
People. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just over here taking notes.
I mean, there's that. Where was it? I mean, in those certain emails that shouldn't be referenced political wise, but there was reference to Gilgamesh's chamber and things like that. Like you don't just write that to be cheeky. Like there's something that is over there for sure.
That's the thing, like all these like buildings and the emails, and obviously symbolism is their downfall, but it's like, goddamn, everything was done with intent. Like they didn't just do this shit willy-nilly just because they thought it was a good time. Like
exactly. We look at ourselves like we have entertainment, we have screens, we have things we can watch, like we keep ourselves busy. So these people didn't, like the sky was the world, like the astrology learned, like that was what their time was spent on. So to think that they would just make these things up as stories or allegories for, like, they have meaning there. And I think a lot of myths and whatnot should be looked at through that lens, as opposed to just thinking it's a story or a tale or whatnot.
The amount of mathematics behind astrology, that ancient fucking math. I just was talking about this. There was a whole chat in the Spiritual Journey in Telegram. But like the ancient mathematics behind astrology is so fucking intense. Like we don't know. You can't figure that shit. I mean, maybe some of you can, but we can't figure that shit out. Like
the amount
there's validity to it.
The amount of mathematical quote unquote coincidences that the Great Pyramid has relating to our Earth, like, I don't remember the details, but like the height of it is exactly double of the circumference or the diameter of the Earth or whatnot. But there's all these different things that, like, how would they have known that? And how is it so precise? And still to this day, you know, it's
and the 19.5 degrees and the stuff that's all lined up with Orion's arrow, right? It's all pointing the same direction. It's all in line. And then everything in relativity to itself is like the same distance and the same whatever. Like there's no way. There's no fucking way unless they knew.
Building it with the hydrogen generator in it.
Yeah. Well, you know, you're talking about the pyramids, the Sphinx. Okay. People did not know that there was a, you know, like a different chamber or hall of records, whatever you may call it. Edgar Casey predicted, the sleeping psychic from Kentucky, predicted that in so-and-so year, and it was the early 2000s, that they would find it under the right paw. They found it in that year, you know, under the right paw, just like he said. Now, he also said in some of his stuff that you would find the Hall of Records there, which would explain how the pyramids were built and other things that we, you know, had no idea what was going on, and, you know, so forth. But yet, all the red tape, allegedly, they've not opened an entryway to that, and it's been almost 20 years.
Yeah, that's on purpose. Like, I'm sure somebody's been down there, but they don't want information getting out. It's the same thing as like the Vatican putting a cap on stuff, or Smithsonian or whoever,
you know,
like the arbiters or the gatekeepers of the past.
But I mean, it just amazes me how he made that prediction. It came true. We could find out so much that could possibly help mankind, and all the bureaucratic red tape, they will not go down. They have, the public does not know if they've went down, and so forth. So that, Rebecca, do you want to take a break for a little bit, and we'll come back with Paul, and then we can do segment 3 whenever you're ready. But
I do need a break. I gotta charge my phone, and I gotta get the question of the week and everything.
Okay.
Is that what we're
Paul,
going with?
Also, you did get the show format, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Do you have a Tik Toker in mind?
I do.
Okay. We'll just keep that quiet right now. We'll be back in what, Rebecca, 10 minutes or so?
You want to do 12 minutes?
15 minutes.
Let's do 12.
12 minutes. You're listening
13 and a half.
Yeah. You're listening to Here to Chew Bubblegum. If you're listening to the podcast version, you will hear some commercials, some music, and the news, and we'll be back with Paul and segment 3 and everything else. We'll be back momentarily.
Keep diving down the rabbit hole while we take a break. You're listening to Here to Chew Bubblegum with Goose, Dirtydan, and Rebecca. We'll be right back.
And welcome back to Here to Chew Bubblegum. Myself, Queen of the Flock, Rebecca, and a special guest, Paul, original OG Flock member.
Howdy.
Hi. Where did we leave off? Are we doing the
let's see. Looks like Paul has something you need to do there really quick. No problem, Paul. Everyone watching in Twitch, please hang around. Before we end, we will have something that you may be interested in.
Sorry.
No, you're good. The question of the week, is that where we're
We can, Paul. Is there anything that you want to add?
Well,
if not, is there
not particularly, but like I was thinking a little bit. I know you had Joe on last week and the topic, but everything we were talking about today assumes a heliocentric model. So I think it'd be kind of interesting to know how these structure, like what they're pointing at, how that works on a flat Earth model. I think that'd be interesting to talk about sometime. But
it sounds like you and Joe need to be on a roundtable when we have one next time. So, for anyone watching or listening today, if they're not aware of some of the stuff that we've talked about today, what would you recommend would be a good starting point for them?
To me?
Yes.
What was the question?
For anyone watching or listening today, if they're interested in this and they've never heard of any of the ancient civilizations, what would be a good starting point for them to start?
I think that docuseries on Netflix it's pretty good. I mean, I think that would be a good place to start because it goes through physical evidence of, those kind of things. Right. It's not just theory, it's stuff that has substance behind it that you can look at and, interpret how you will. It's called Ancient Apocalypse. It's eight episodes. They're half hour. It's easy watch, but it's pretty good. That's a good start. And I also forgot to say, if you guys like this stuff that we're talking about on the show or today, you're not going to find it on my TikTok. You're just going to find a bunch of me lip syncing and dancing to stupid shit. So,
well, hey, I love your TikToks. So,
well, thank you.
You're very welcome. Rebecca, I'm turning it over to you.
For the question of the week.
Mm-hmm.
So we do a question of the week every week, and I've been thoroughly enjoying these. So the question of the week this week was, when is truth an absolute fact and when is an opinion? And the comments on this video have been interesting. So I will read through a couple of them now. Yes, opinion is based on feelings. Truth, you have evidence to back it up. When you truly deeply know yourself, you will know your absolute truth, which may change as you grow. Same thing. It's true when you accept it and not before. Oops, I clicked too many times. Opinions can be changed by perception. Facts are seen by all perceptions. Truth is subjective. Facts don't change, but the perception of them does. Throw in feelings, and while still being true, it's no longer the same truth. Since we create our own reality, is there any such thing as fact or opinion? Perhaps both are social constructs to limit our potential. When the truth belongs to you, it is fact. One person's truth may be another's lie. We are here to observe, when we are no longer here to observe. Opinion is information based in feelings, and fact is information based in tangible proof. But the tricky thing is that proof can be anything a person finds to be unrefutable, and each person's opinion of what is unrefutable is the difference between opinion is based in feelings, and therefore it is all true. I like that answer. Truth is always objective. Opinions are always subjective. We are entitled to our opinions, but not facts. And then absolute truth is promoted by those who fear being wrong. Entirely opinion is embraced by those who fear being right. So those were some of the answers for
those great answers.
Yeah, great. I'm thoroughly enjoying the fact that y'all are taking this seriously and actually putting some thought into these answers and really stepping outside of the box. And I can tell that some of these questions are really making y'all think. So I have two this week, and I'm gonna let y'all pick.
Oh my God. Everyone get ready. Watching on Twitch, you get to pick the question of the week.
Question A is going to be, and I try and pick these questions based on what we talk about on the show, kind of, so they do correlate a little bit. Yeah. Why do humans choose to fight about things that remain unknown due to the lack of factual foundation? So that's question A.
That's a good one.
That is a good one.
Oh, Dirtydan, welcome back.
I've been here for a minute. It's okay. I was just listening.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
And then question B is there such thing as having too much knowledge, either for individuals or for societies?
Ooh.
So question A is, why do humans choose to fight about things that remain unknown due to the lack of factual foundation? Or question B, is there such thing as having too much knowledge, either for individuals or societies? And a special shout out to Shipmass. Thank you. I know they're long questions. All right, we got to vote for A.
I vote A. I like A.
A.
I'm looking for question A that she posted.
Right here. I got you.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Got it. All right. Yeah. I take screenshots of those. That way, when I go back and edit the episode description, I've got them right there just to look at and type in. So those are both great questions. Really great questions.
It looks like A is winning.
Yeah, I've been enjoying how these questions, like, they don't have a direct answer. They do force you to think a little bit, and it.
All right, so we're gonna go with A1. It's like 7-8 to 3.
Okay.
All right, so we're gonna go with question A. So the question of the week this week is, why do humans choose to fight about things that remain unknown due to the lack of factual foundation? And I will be making a video for that. And drop your answers in the comments, and then we read them on the show. That's how that works. That's it.
Thank you very much, Kimmy. I definitely appreciate that. No, actually, this week when I sent out the format, I had the correct question that she read responses from. But no, you are correct. I wouldn't do that. Now, Kimmy, you may be disappointed because I normally drop a bombshell. I've not done that this week, but the show's not over. Paul, before you announce the TikToker of the week, I'm going to drop a bombshell. And Rebecca, can you pull up?
Of course.
See, just pull up one at a time. And this is a spur of the moment game. It's a simple game. The first person to correctly identify this first picture, well, you put both of them up.
Hold on. God damn it.
Which I think I correctly identified them already.
Okay. I don't know, man. That second one was pretty tough. I had to actually look on the back of the card to see what that was.
Did you see my answer, Goose, in Telegram?
No, let me go look at it right now. But if you are the first person to correctly, yes, you are exactly right, Dirty Dan. If you are the first, well, okay. Let's
hold on a second. I'm struggling.
Right. Those three answers are right, but let's see.
I don't know what the fuck we're doing here, but I'm okay. There you go.
So who was the first one that said that? James. You got that one correctly. That is the Tabasco sauce, brand pepper sauce. Go on, James. Go on fedup.com. Pick you out whatever you want. Message the link of whatever you want. Message that to me. Email that to me, and we will get our friend Joe to send that out to you.
And then you want the other one?
Yes. Let's pull up the other one.
I hate it when you do this shit to me.
You are very welcome, James. Okay, so can anybody correctly identify? Oh, you can't win. You've already got stuff. But you told the answer. Shame on you. Can anybody directly? Okay, all right. There we go. She's not won before, has she? No. Katie's not. Okay. All right, Katie, same thing as James. Go on fedupgear.com. Pick out whatever you want. It doesn't have to be here to chew bubblegum. It could be flock stuff. It could be whatever. Pick out whatever you want. One item, T-shirt, hoodie, whatever. Copy that link or the URL and message that to me at goose@heretochewbubblegum.com. that was just a quick spur of the moment game. I hope you enjoyed it. And Ship Mess, go ahead. Since you were the first one, you do that as well. Message me that, and we will.
You're gonna Ship Mess is gonna have a whole fucking new closet by the time she's done here.
No, you go ahead and do that too, Ship Mess. Paul, who is our TikToker of the week?
So I took a different route this week. I call myself a professional box topper on TikTok, and I make a lot of random friends. And one of them, is a woman I met who lives in Jamaica, and she just so happens to be leaving for a 4-month stint on a cruise ship, working on a cruise that's going down to Antarctica. So,
Goose, I've already asked her to be on the show when she comes back. So
yeah,
we got her set there.
Yes.
But anyway, her name is Dee Dee, and her TikTok that's documenting this trip is Mervia24, MERVIA24. So
MERVIA. Okay. TikToker of the week, Mervia24. Be sure to check her out and show her some love. I'll be posting a shout out to her on the Here to Chew Bubblegum TikTok page later on today or first thing in the morning. Rebecca, please go ahead.
Is that because I know she's got 2 pages. Is that the page that she's documenting the trip on? Okay. All right. Okay. Yeah. Because she's got 2 pages, and that one she made to document this whole experience. So yeah.
Paul, for those of you listening, he nodded yes. I want to thank Paul again. Paul, thank you very much. You are welcome on anytime. A big shout out to Paul. Be sure to check him out on TikTok at Paul Hatton 1921. Thank you again, Paul, for coming on. I want to be sure to remind everyone to be sure to check out upcoming episodes of Just Listen on YouTube. And you can also find the lovely Rebecca Short. Flockingqueen is the handle on TikTok, and Queen of the Flock 138 on Twitch. Dirtydan.
And don't forget to check out our friends of the show. We got carboncaptureshield.com from DJ Nikki. I'd like to get fed up on here, but still hasn't messaged me all that stuff. So Joe, send me a DM. Give me a little background for you so we can get you on here. We got Goose's favorite thing to say, Till Valhalla Project. And we are still rallying around everybody that's involved with Adventures with Purpose to keep that purpose going. Be sure to check them all out. And that'll do it.
That'll do it for this week. But remember,
and we got to go through the numbers and the emails. We have
yes. Have it. Good call. You can always call, text, or leave a voicemail by calling 606-373-3396 or email. How can they email us, Dirtydan?
You can email Goose at heretochewbubblegum.com, Dirtydan at heretochewbubblegum.com, or what is it, Flockingqueen at gmail.com?
Yes.
My email.
Flockingqueen at gmail.com. That'll do it for this week. But remember, we all have a voice. If we stand together, we can make the world a better place. We'll see you next week. And until then, so long for now.
Maybe I'm not leaving.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Maybe I'm just going home.
Rebecca?
Hi, Flockers.
Thanks for listening to Here to Chew Bubblegum. You can always call, text, or leave a voicemail for Here to Chew Bubblegum at 606-373-3396. Tune in next time as we dive deeper into things the government doesn't want us to know.